Hi everyone, I'm Gabriel Branco, and I'm IT coordinator and PO of the monitoring platform at Global.com. What the Global.com is the one of the most major player in the digital media in Brazil. Is responsible for storage and delivery and support all content produced by all companies from the Grupo Globo, also Rede Globo and Global Sat and others. We have uh, almost this management at the data center of the global.com with the monitoring with Zabbix. And now we have 3K physical device monitoring when I plus 3K of VMs. And his lead is on 600,000 items in your base, providing by 2K new VPs. And about the stock, we'll show the implementation of the Zabbix on the global.com and some tools that we'll develop them for this live migration and integrations. By this way, so now I'm past the presentation for our senior sysadmin, Filipe, and techno leader in Zabbix in global.com. Thanks.
So, my name is Filipe. I'm going to talk about the technical difficulties we encountered during almost 2 years implementing Zabbix at Globo. First, let me talk about the team that did it. We have 12 people in our team. 4 of them are Zabbix certified. 3 actually are Zabbix certified. 4 of them are dedicated to about 80% to developing, implementing, and maintaining all Zabbix infrastructure. We have our database team to support us with MySQL the implementation. We'll talk a little bit more in detail soon after. And NGX Labs that helps us doing some development to create some customizations and integrations. We also have a NOC, a Network Operating Center, that handles the operation of all the infrastructure that Gabriel quoted about a minute ago. So, about the implementation of Zabbix itself, we first had to stop and stand back to look at what we needed to monitor. Okay, we have a very big setup, a great setup, with about 3,000 hosts and with multiple vendors from routing servers, access points, load balancers, storage. We have that from multiple vendors, so it's not easy. It's a little bit tricky to get everything to work, discover, and manage those templates. So we defined some standards that help us to manage the environment itself soon after. We did it with some creating defaults for our customers. So when we are implementing a new template, we ask them, what do you need? How fast do we need to pull this data? How fast do we want to be alerted? So we defined update times, trigger priority. So do we want to be awakened at night to solve this problem? Yes, no, that changes a little bit. And creating some of these defaults, some of which Luciano is there a little bit proud of himself, helps us to ease view, to share with our customers and everything else. Second thing, you need to know your infrastructure. We have seen many times, many documentations, Zabbix itself tells you to monitor your Zabbix, monitor your database, monitor server, proxies, front-end, know how you are performing, know how fast you are delivering Zabbix content to your clients. It's easy to see we had a little bit of problem there with database. We could have seen it one day before the issue actually happened. And during that time, it's about a day or two, we were completely unstable, and we had to basically spend a weekend in the data center to get back together. We took about 10 days to find the definitive solution with our database team, and we managed. So, okay, you need to know so you can prevent some of these problems. Okay, we had a system working monitoring before, so we just implement the new one. How do we do that? First, if you're talking a big environment, get some consultancy. It will definitely help you. Unihead helped us, so get there, start there. It will be faster and easier for you. You need to know what's crucial for a business. What do you need to guarantee it's 100% working? What do you need what delivers value for whoever's paying you? Also very important, you need to plan your infrastructure ahead, okay? Get a server that's working, that will work for you, not for a month, for 6 months. Oh, I have now 100 values per second. How much values per second will I expect to work with within 2 years? Oh, 1,000. Okay, so plan your server now for 1,000. It's easier. It's budget centered. It's better for you in the long run. You need to know that what does your customer want to monitor? Oh, I want to monitor everything. No, that's not a good answer. Sit down with him, learn his structure, learn the key points of that, and from there you go and create whatever it is that he needs. This will get you through easier during the change between one tool for another. It's already hard for you to change between one monitoring tool to another. So getting him close to you will help improve the synergy, will make things easier. He'll be more susceptible to the change and the new interface, the new everything, and then go on. We use it, and it's still some small fraction of it working. It's Cricket, we'll talk about it, and Nagios. First, Cricket. Cricket is an RRD tool that generates graphs. A little bit closely to Zabbix, but far older, okay. When you are migrating, okay, do I leave that stuff out? Do I trash it? Or should I import some data? Is that data important to me? If yes, what data? Don't import everything. It will be hard and take time. We actually chose to import only a few services data. Okay, it monitored everything, so we had everything there, but we choose, okay, let's get only load balancing to metrics, for instance. And then we imported that trend data. How did we do that? It's not easy. Okay, I create trapper item, I go there to RRD and make a dump of it, and then send straight to Zabbix. Easy? No. Few things you have to keep in mind. Few tips we learned. First, those items will have duplicated lines. Okay, check for those. 2, order them. They come in random form. It's easier for Zabbix to get them straight in line. It's easier that way. Other tip, we took a clone of our production database, kept it offline, and make the imports there. And then we merged the database together. How did we do that? Just dumping trends and importing on the other side. We would have no duplicates because it would be all old data but non-existent in database. Other thing, Nagios. Nagios doesn't keep historical data. You need a few plugins to do that, but it makes the transition easier. So you need to check the service, what it does, and see what is important, create the triggers, maybe create more than one because Nagios has warning and critical. So you might want to create some trigger dependency, more than one trigger too, and talk to the customer. And then it's very important, you present the information, how the customer can create that monitoring through the API, how he can interact, and how he can create custom nodes and everything. So he becomes familiar, he becomes to know Zabbix, and he can take most of it. Don't forget, change is hard. So if you get him to smile somewhere, you've done good. Other thing, database. If you don't have a database team, if you go with the community, ask them, and there are plenty of how-tos on the web, and go with the one which is most familiar, you are most familiar with. Because when we started, we showed them, okay, we can choose between this database. Which one do you prefer to support? Remember, it will be them who will help you. So let them choose between what they think is best for them. Whatever you can do to tune Zabbix database, do it together, get some material from the web, from the training course. There is some tips, nice tips there. So work close to them and do that. That problem that I showed earlier, we solved with Rede replicas. How did we do that? We came close to database team. We showed them, okay, we are losing performance because some query that's hitting the database and it's taking too long and everything kind of gets stuck together and doesn't work from there. We came up with a solution which was this one. It's a little bit hard to see maybe back there, so I will show around here. We created two databases, one which was the read replica and the other one just for reading. These databases communicate with replication. This one talks, the right one, the active one, talks with the backup one, and then those two replicates to the following database below it. We have two Zabbix front-end servers here talking to the read-only database. What this database does, essentially show graphs, go to dashboards, go to every customer that needs to see something in Zabbix. Who accesses this front-end? This front-end is for people who actually make operations in Zabbix. In other words, people who create templates, manage Zabbix in general, gives acknowledge to alarms. So operations would be here. As we have a huge number of development teams that want to check on their stuff, their hardware, their services, they are using this database. So it does not impact Zabbix in any way. Other stuff, the most critical part, there's no way really to read there. We have partition our tables, history and trends. History, we keep 7 days plus one partition that was dropped sometime in the people chose. And we keep 1 month of trends database, trends table. In here, as we are a media company, we have a little bit more trends, because history, for us really, we don't need much history. We will need, further along the way, when we start to create the trends prediction and something else, something more. But with trends below there on the read-only database, we keep it for 50 months, which is enough for us to, how did that TV show that went live the year before performed during at least 3 months of it? So we can check it with this deploy. A little bit of our infrastructure. We have the almost, now it's a little outdated, but we are a little bit over 2K new values per second, almost 100,000 items, and etc. And the load on Zabbix server is really quite small. We are running on physical hardware, but it goes around 0 to. The load is really small. This number is very important. The number of online users, we have 250 users. This is the one that caused that issue. This is why the query was taking so long, etc., etc. This is something we are not very proud of. At first glance, it was nice. It is a background picture with all the boxes and pointers, but we now went online with another data center. We just put some icon there that's kind of lost in the image. Now a little bit on integrations. We need to integrate to show, to ease visualization, to automate some everyday tasks, to minimize human error. I remember there was a talk earlier that showed, oh, my partner always forgets to include a template. So we created custom calls on the API, and whenever he wants to create a database, it goes on with everything he needs, and there's no need to add another template. I will call now Adolfo to talk a little bit on those.
Hey, I'm Adolfo, and I'm from NGX Labs, and I'm the company that Globo hired to do some of the integrations, and that's what I'm going to talk about now. So the first one that we have is called graphics, and it's basically like a system for generating network graphs. I mean, when I say network graphs, I don't mean like from computer networks. I mean from like graph theory. So basically a graph is like a mathematical relationship between nodes and links. And like when we get data from Zabbix, what we can do, like in a graph, for instance, like in that example, all the small circles, all the small nodes you got it there, they represent like nodes, they represent hosts. And the color represents its current trigger. So if they're green, they're like in status okay. So if they're like red or so, they have that trigger. And the other circles, the bigger ones, the blue ones, they are like the proxies that they're being monitored through. And when we get the pink and the orange ones, they are more like from another tool that we use, from a CMDB tool that's called ServiceNow. And then we cross data, that kind of data together. And those other circles, they could mean, for instance, like which product those servers belong. Like in that case, like talking about Globo, they could be like Big Brother or like streaming media, something like this. And the cool thing about graphics is that it's like live, it's completely real time, and it's delivered in form of an API as well. So you get that, you got like a link, and you can export anywhere you want, and that page will be not reloaded. The data will be fed from a thing that's called like Mini Mongo. We developed that using Node.js, and for the front end, for the graphs, we use D3, and we use the Meteor framework, so it's very like live. And what else can we say about graphics? Yeah, we also integrate like with our PAS. There's sort of like a Heroku and like network topologies. So we got CloudMon as well. And CloudMon is actually based on Cyclops. I remember like 2 years ago, I sent an email to Daisuke and asking if they had any plans to integrate Cyclops with Cloud Stack or Cloud Platform. That was the cloud platform that we are using. And he said, yeah, not right now. So we started as base as Cyclops, and we created something for monitor like Cloud Stack or like Citrix Cloud Platform that's they're basically like the same thing. And yeah. Another integration that we got is called Gbix. G stands like for global. And what we basically do, like at global.com, you got a bunch of teams, like, I don't know, over 30, 40 teams maybe. And they have different levels of knowledge. Like you have developers, you have operators, you got journalists, whatever. And everyone wants to monitor their systems. And some people can code, some people cannot code. So what we did, we provided a way to make sort of like those monitor requests more standard, and they're way easier to do. So even a guy that cannot code, he can just open like a GUI and create his custom monitor. Or for instance, you can like create like somebody that wants to monitor like a database. They're not gonna, they don't understand about how the backend works. They don't know about templates or groups. All they want is like to issue like a command that says monitor my database. And that's pretty much what we do there. We take everything behind the curtain and don't show them. And last, we got MacroSync. That is, I don't know if there's many of you over there that use like DB4Bix for monitoring databases. And it's a very cool tool. You can monitor like your database without having an agent installed at the machine you get the database. But there was a problem with the global infrastructure there. In order to use DB4Bix, you need to add it like manually, like a file. And there was an issue for us when we had so much monitoring going on and off, being removed. So what we did, we put all those things behind the curtain again. So the user only interacts with Zabbix through macros. So you create a macro saying, where is your endpoint, the parameters, and we do everything in the background. We update the B4Bix, we restart it, we do everything. This is quite simple, like Python daemon. So, and right now you got discovery, so Filipe's gonna keep from here.
So this network discovery is very cool, but becomes a kind of problem to manage when you have about 1,000 VLANs like we do and multiple locations. Currently we have 2 data centers, we have an office, so we needed to automate this and create discovery rules, remove them, update, change from proxy between proxies whenever needed, and balance them because there are some networks with 1,000 hosts, there are others with 5 hosts, there are another with 1 host. So we needed to automate this and not need to interact with every single change. So what we did is we have this network API, which telecom team holds to manage and control which VLAN is where, how long is it, all the information from it. And then we created a script that talks to Zabbix API and this global network API. They hold the data together and creates the rules and creates the hosts. Don't create the hosts, but creates everything they need and assign to the right proxy. Currently, we have 19 proxies, so it's a little bit tricky for you to balance the load between them. So this script is proxy aware, region aware, and collects everything automatically. We run them like once every week or so, and they manage everything, every step we need to change to interact with a network discovery. Another integration is kind of fake, but it is an integration nonetheless. It is every or most of our projects are inside our internal GitLab. So we send an email, talk with a few guys. Oh, here, you can create maps and everything. It looks nice. He said, okay, nice. Let me play a little bit. Within a day or two, there is an email copying the whole company saying, wow, this is wonderful. Look, my documentation and everything in this Markdown files in GitHub, in GitLab, and I can include an image from the map from Zabbix, which shows the platform there, service there, or whatever, status in real time. And that is very nice. It was very dynamic. It is improving our documentation and everything else. So Zabbix is not just monitoring. There is topology, there is something else in documentation, many things else to play with. Another thing we did during these 2 years, as we had many templates, many equipments, we needed to create a template for every different aspect, small aspects of everything else. There are some templates that inherit one another, like I remember Dell, there is 2 or 3 models, very small things, so you create a basic one that serves to all of them, and inherits the difference between them for each kind, each host. It's nice. We have F5 load balancer, which was a little bit tricky because our older tool took about an hour and a half just to update the current VIPs, nodes, and everything else. We optimized a little bit for Zabbix. Now it takes about 5 or 10 seconds. The most loaded ones, but still we needed to integrate few OIDs. Oh yeah, we monitor mostly everything via SNMP. I forgot to mention that. It's a little bit tricky because you need to get one index and then mix with another, so it's nice. NetApp 2. We have a few templates. All of these, or most of these, we plan to release to the share.zabbix.com soon. I can't promise you when. We are migrating data centers, so it's a little bit busy there right now. But it will be shared with the community. We created data center sensors, templates as well, hardware health, and everything else. Anything else. We have our deploy. It's managed with Git. We create our Puppet recipes, we put them in Git. We can code our infrastructure sorted inside it. We use Puppet to keep them updated. It makes it easy for us to have, right now we have 4 or 5 environments. A production one, a staging one that replicates the production, and 2 smaller ones for development. When we create a new script, when we create a new integration, we test everything off the production. It goes climbing the development phase. We try to script everything. We had a few migrations from other tools to Zabbix. So, okay, let's create every database we need to monitor. Give me the list, I'll put it on an array, and send them to script. In 5-10 minutes, it's everything created, it's everything up and running. So this is our deploy methods, our development phases. We actually start in dev. We create a new branch for each task we need to do, and then we merge back to dev, test, okay, it sounds nice. We merge to staging, which is where we validate, okay, looks like production is not going to break. And then we create a change request, like ICHO predicts it, and it's validated in staging, let's go, we create a window, we make the change. Sometimes it takes 5 minutes, sometimes it takes a few hours for us to do it more carefully with more detail in mind. And if you have any questions, please, let's go.
Oh, thank you. Can you describe a little bit more about the network graph?
Network?
Network graph, yeah. You show a network graph, a really cool network graph. Can you describe a little bit more?
What do you want to know about? Specifically?
What about the flows? What about the connection between the graphs?
Yeah, I can come back to the figures. So yeah, there you go. The thing, like, we have Actually, right now we have 4 different paths of doing this. The first one, we got the one that crossed the data from Zabbix with our CMDB. So there was the example that I said before, that in this case, we only got the blue, that would be like proxies, but we can show like groups or templates, pretty much any element that exists inside the Zabbix. And this is like fully, this is very flexible. You can say, yeah, I want to see the hosts that belong to the template OS Linux, and they're in the group XX.
Do you have specific interface? So sorry to interrupt you. Do you have specific web interface to just to show these items? It's a specific web template. It's a specific page.
No, it's not a template. This is like a third party. This is a side system.
Can you share this plugin? Can you share this?
What do you mean, like open source it?
Yeah.
That's the thing. Right now, this is not open source, but
so please.
This is one of the goals of the project.
Okay.
And
thank you.
If you want me just to finish the other paths that we got it, one, we show the relationships between Zabbix and our PAS. That should be something like you got in the cloud in Heroku nowadays. So we have a PS that's called like Chusuru. There's an open source. And yeah, you show like the containers and everything and its relationships with Zabbix. And also like with network topologies, and like for instance, you can show like links if they're green, they're up, if they're red, they're down, so and so.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and this open sourcing thing is, we plan to do them soon. Like we said, we are migrating between data centers, so it's a little bit busy right now. But soon as we have time, we plan to do that.
Just a